Walk into any cemetery, and you are standing in something deeply human. Headstones, flowers, quiet paths between the names of people somebody loved. We bury our dead. We say words over the grave. We leave gifts. We mark the spot. From nearly every culture in every corner of the world, humans honor their dead. No other animal does anything quite like it. So when did this begin? When did a living thing first stop? Look at a body and decide it should not simply be left where it fell. The answer is genuinely strange, because the first burials may have happened long before there were any modern humans to do them. Before us, done by other kinds of human, some with brains barely a third the size of yours. Our ancestors and our cousins may have been burying their dead before they were even us. It is one of the oldest, most haunting questions in archaeology, and the evidence is a minefield. Let us dig into it, carefully. First, a problem. How do you actually prove a burial? A body in the ground is not enough. Animals die in caves. Floods wash bones into pits. Roofs collapse onto the dead. To call it a real burial, archaeologists look for intention. A dug pit, the body carefully positioned, protected, maybe objects placed with it. Get it wrong, and you are seeing meaning where there was only mud and time. This is why almost every claim you are about to hear is fought over fiercely. Start with our closest cousins, the Neanderthals. For a long time, we pictured them as brutes. The grave changed that. At a French site called La Chapelle-aux-Saints in 1908, diggers uncovered an old Neanderthal man curled inside a pit. He had lost almost all his teeth and lived on for years, which means others must have cared for him when he could not feed himself. Caring for a helpless elder and then placing him in the earth. That is not the behavior of a mindless brute. He seems to have been laid in a dug hollow and covered over, around 60,000 years ago. A restudy in 2013 argued the pit was deliberate, dug on purpose, and filled too quickly for nature alone to explain. Then there is Shanidar Cave, in the mountains of Iraqi Kurdistan, and its most famous body, known as Shanidar 4. In the 1960s, the excavator found unusual clumps of flower pollen around the body and called it the flower burial, a Neanderthal laid to rest on a bed of blooms. It became one of the most beautiful images in all of prehistory. But the pollen may have been carried in by burrowing bees or rodents, not grieving mourners. The flowers are argued over to this day. What is clearer is that Shanidar holds several Neanderthals, placed in the same spot over time, as if it were a chosen place for the dead. Neanderthals, it seems, did not always just abandon their dead. Sometimes they put them somewhere on purpose. Now go further back. Much further. In a cave in northern Spain called Atapuerca, there is a place with a grim nickname, the Pit of Bones. At the bottom of a deep, dark shaft, researchers found the remains of at least 28 individuals, around 430,000 years old. These were not Neanderthals or modern humans. They were an older kind of human, long before either existed. How did so many bodies end up down one narrow shaft? Predators and simple accidents struggle to explain it. Some researchers think the bodies were deliberately dropped into the pit, a way of dealing with the dead almost 500,000 years ago. If they are right, the urge to do something with our dead is far, far older than our own species. And then comes the case that broke the rules entirely. Deep inside a South African cave system called Rising Star, explorers squeezed through gaps barely wider than a human body. Far in the dark, in a chamber almost impossible to reach, they found bones. Many of them. From a creature called Homo naledi. Homo naledi was small, and its brain was only about a third the size of yours. Yet the bones of many individuals lay deep in a black cave you can only reach by climbing, squeezing and dropping through the rock. The lead researcher, Lee Berger, made a bold claim that Naledi carried its dead in the dark, deep underground on purpose. Berger's team even reported scratched marks on the walls and a stone near a body, although those claims are hotly disputed. A small-brained human cousin, possibly burying its dead hundreds of thousands of years ago. If true, it would shatter the idea that you need a big modern brain to care for the dead. Many scientists are deeply unconvinced, and the fight over Rising Star is one of the fiercest in the field. But the bones are there, in the dark, demanding an explanation. So where do we, modern humans, finally appear in this story? In caves at Qafzeh and Skhul, in what is now Israel, around 100,000 years ago. Here the evidence finally becomes hard to argue with. Bodies in clear graves and something brand new placed with them. A young person buried holding the antlers of a deer across the chest. Bodies sprinkled with red ochre, a pigment with no practical use for a corpse. Grave goods, colour, care. These are not just hidden bodies, they are statements. Someone stood at that grave and decided this person should be sent off with something, a gift, a meaning. This, most agree, is the clear arrival of symbolic, ritual burial, the kind we would instantly recognize. Which leaves the hardest question of all. Why? Why bury the dead at all? It takes real effort, it can attract danger, and the body can never thank you. The simplest answers are practical. Keep predators away, keep disease away, get the body out of the living space. But ochre and flowers and antlers are not hygiene. They are something else entirely. Notice the pattern. The more human a burial feels, the more it carries things that mean nothing to a corpse and everything to the living. Burial may be grief made solid, a way to hold on, to say this one mattered, to refuse to simply walk away. It may be the first sign of a mind that can picture the unseen, a mind quietly asking, where did the person go? Some see in these graves the very first whisper of a belief in an afterlife. But a whisper is all the bones will ever give us. We cannot ask them what they felt. So the next time you stand at a graveside and lay down a flower, feel the weight of how old that small gesture really is. You are repeating something our ancestors and our cousins may have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years. Long before cities, before writing, before farming, someone knelt in the dark and refused to abandon the one they had lost. Across hundreds of thousands of years and many kinds of human, the same quiet act keeps reappearing. We do not know exactly when it began or what was in their minds. The graves keep their secrets. But caring for the dead may be one of the oldest, deepest signs of what it means to be human, or even almost human. A single flower on a grave. It might just be the longest-running tradition our kind has ever had. If you like having your everyday questions answered like this channel does one every single day. Subscribe and stay curious.